Alrighty, welcome to this week's episode of the Career Catapult podcast. This one we're calling The Day You Stopped Wanting the Promotion. The Day You Stopped Wanting the Promotion. I think at this point, we all have a pretty good sense of what it takes to accomplish a meaningful goal, right? Like we know what the path to accomplishing a meaningful goal likely looks like. Like if there's probably somebody in your life right now that if you found out that this person achieved something remarkable, something extraordinary, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be like, that tracks, I could see that. I could believe that. I always knew they would figure it out. I always knew they would get it done. Okay. So I don't know that it's as helpful for us to talk about what it takes to be successful in that sense. And as a result, I've actually found myself more and more lately deeply immersed in the opposite question. Okay. What is it that causes intelligent, capable, smart, ambitious people to quietly walk away from a goal that they once genuinely wanted? I've been really just like immersed in that. Um, because I find that to be much more interesting. I think and the more progress we make in uncovering that, the more we can help people be more successful and have the things they really want. And it makes, this should come as no surprise with the work that I do, which is focused on, partnering with leaders to land rapid promotions to the C-suite so that they can have the impact, the income, the well-being, all of it in harmony. This is such an important element that over the years I've been focused more on this and solving for that in my own way, right, inside our program. But I digress. But again, it's not usually like, oh, how does one be successful? It's what is it that would make somebody who has already been successful in the past, is intelligent, is ambitious, is smart, and has said that they want a goal, but then what causes that person to quietly walk away from that goal? And I came up with, I think there's multiple reasons, but one of the reasons I came up with, and the one I want to share with you today, is this interplay between commitment and know-how. Commitment and know-how. So let's take an example. Let's say that your stated goal in January was that you wanted to be VP of HR by August. Okay. You got really excited about that. Here's what happens for most people when they set a goal like that. They get excited. They go to work. They begin to do what they know how to do, which is, well, the last time I landed this job, I applied online and somebody called me and I interviewed and I got the job. So I'm just going to do the same thing that I've always done. So they go online and they fill out a bunch of applications. And then when that doesn't immediately produce, like maybe last time they only had to put in like 20 applications and then one of them panned out. So now when they get to that 20 application point, and it doesn't pan out, they think, this is odd. But then they then think, well, maybe I just need to do more. Things are really different right now. I'm just going to double. So now I'll do 40. I'll do 40 or 50 or 100. And so they do more of that. They apply for those jobs online. And then when that doesn't pan out, right? When they inevitably hit the roadblock, maybe they do 100 applications and no one ever contacts them. Maybe they do in fact get contacted. They interview only to be rejected by the company, or they just never. It just again, it doesn't materialize. Okay, because of course we all know that applying online is not the most effective path to landing an executive level role. Anything above senior director at the kind of company that you likely want to be at, the one that can pay you $500,000, chances are that company has a sizable recruiting budget that is not being spent entirely on LinkedIn marketing. Anyway, so they do all of that. It doesn't pan out, okay? And then they say to themselves, they quietly conclude, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. And when they conclude, I don't know how to do this, the commitment to landing that role vanishes. It's not even what I've discovered is, as I've studied this more and more, it's not even a sort of like a marginal, it's not even a gradual diminish. It's like it just goes away. Which is why if you ever pay attention, you'll hear this yo-yo. Like you'll talk to somebody today and they're like, I really want this. And then you talk to them again, it's like, I don't want that. Right. So it just vanishes. The commitment to land that role completely disappears. All of a sudden, they're okay with director. All of a sudden, they're okay with associate director. All of a sudden, they're okay with senior manager because they conclude, I don't know how to land, I don't know how to land VP. I don't know how to do this. But here's the tricky part, because if they even said it, like if you even said, I don't know how to do that, if those words left your mouth, that would be a step in the right direction. But for most people, they don't even say that. And by the way, when I talk about this, know that this is all part of human nature. It's all part of human behavior. If you're doing any of these things that you hear me talking about, don't feel like you're alone. Don't feel like you're isolated. Again, we're talking about somebody who's already had success in their career, i.e., you've already had success in your career. Okay, so I want to put that out there. Okay, so if you could even say, I don't know how to do this, that's a step in the right direction. But oftentimes we don't say that. We don't say that for a variety of reasons. We don't like to feel like we don't know. The ego is usually driving the bus. It's usually running the show. At this point in your career, you've got 15, 20 years in your space. Saying, I don't know, just doesn't feel comfortable. And so because you don't utter those words, I don't know how to do this, what happens instead? You say other things like the market's just really competitive and really difficult right now. You say things like, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time. There's so much going on right now. It's just not the right time. It's the summertime and things are slow. Then before you know it, well, it's fall and school is starting. And now it's the holidays and it's Christmas and nobody, like it just, after 10 years, you have to forgive me. You hear all the things over the years, right? So that's what it sounds like. It sounds like the market's really challenging. I don't have the time. It sounds like I don't even know. I don't want VP because I want more work-life balance. I want more work-life balance. And if I took the VP level role, I already see what my boss who's VP, what he's having to deal with. I don't want that. So I'm not going to pursue that. That's what it sounds like. And you may have heard me say this over and over, that fear masks itself as logic. This is one way that it shows up. There's lots of ways, but this is one of them. Okay, fear masking itself as logic. So not knowing how to do it leads to the death of the commitment, okay, quietly. And then that sounds like, all kinds of excuses, really. Don't have time, too busy, it's not the right time. The market's really challenging right now. Nobody's hiring for this level, right? On and on and on and on. I need more work-life balance, as though it is conclusive that if you land VP, you will not have work-life balance. These are all the sneaky ways that this happens, okay? Because again, we don't like to admit that we have uncovered a problem that we cannot solve. That is not a comfortable feeling for anybody that I've met. Okay. We don't like to admit it. Run into a problem I can't solve. I'm stomped by this problem, right? That is not something that most people want to admit, right? In this example, this person likely does not want to admit, and you may not want to admit, I don't know how to network at the VP level. I just don't know. I don't know how to do it. And why would I? I've never done it, right? I've never done it. I don't know how to network at the C-suite level. I've never done it. I don't know how to position myself, how to tell stories in a way that is compelling. If you've never done it and you don't know, that tracks. It makes sense, right? But that is the problem. But rather than saying those words, I don't know how to brand myself at the VP level. I don't know how to compete for this opportunity. I don't know how to position myself such that I'm the compelling candidate. I don't know how to nail it in a conversational interview. I don't know how to handle a curveball interview. I don't know how to get my application to rise to the top of the pile when there are 2,500 applicants for the role. But rather than saying that, we just stay and said all the other things, right? I'm too busy. I don't have the energy for this. It's not the right time. I won't have work-life balance, on and on and on, right? So, and I've talked about this, our clients know this very well. When there is a goal that you have, and there's a way that you're being, it creates a gap. And this gap is really, really uncomfortable. It's untenable. You can't, it's something has to give. This gap is really uncomfortable for most people. So what do? Rather than elevate who they're being to meet that goal, no, that requires too much work. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to lower the pressure by doing what? Bringing that goal down to what you know and what you've been doing and how you've been operating and what feels comfortable and how you like to communicate, all of it. You just bring it back down there, and guess what? No pressure, equilibrium. We're happy now. We're happy now. We don't like the uncertainty. We don't like the ambiguity. We don't like the pressure. We don't like the way it feels to have that gap. So we do all kinds of things. I had there's a training inside our program that our clients know well, that talks about all the 6 Ds that we do when we don't accomplish a goal. And one of those Ds is diminish. That's what this is about. Diminish. We diminish the goal. So now VP, no, I don't, here's what it sounds like. I don't really need VP. I just need a role where I am appreciated and acknowledged. I just need a role that is commensurate with my experience and my expertise. I just need a role where I'm fairly compensated. Now you remove the precision. You make that goal more pixelated, right? It's no longer high precision. It's no longer in focus. You remove the precision because why? It's easier to accomplish a goal with low precision. So if you say, I just want any role where I can be acknowledged and appreciated, now it's not VP anymore. It could be senior director. It could be manager. It could even be intern, right? You decide how low you want to go, but you now remove the precision from the goal. And now you don't have to answer to anything because you don't really, because now any role you land at this point meets the criteria. Do you see that? Do you see how like ominous this is? When I get to see, because I see it in my own self too. I'm not speaking to you from a pedestal here. I have my own version of this that I work through myself. But as an executive coach, I have the vantage point of being able to see this over and over and over again. I can almost predict it as it happens, right? I can almost predict it, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. I have those predictive indicators and some of those leading indicators that point to that. All right. So the discomfort is uncomfortable. We don't like the pressure of an unmet goal, especially one that we don't know how to meet. And rather than saying, I don't know how to do this, we remove the commitment. Okay, we remove the commitment. We adjust the goal until it matches exactly what we know how to do and exactly what we've done before. We just reduce that goal. And what's interesting is you might, when you do that, you won't even admit that's what you're doing. What you'll do is you'll say, I'm just being realistic. This is realism. This is maturity. I'm just facing facts, right? I'm just living in the real world. We'll have all these clever colloquial ways that we say these things, right? I'm just living the real world. I'm just dealing with facts right now. This is just the situation on ground. It is what it is, right? We say all this stuff, and it just really means I've given up on the goal. I don't have the level of commitment because I don't know how to do it. And that's what got me thinking about that interplay between commitment and know-how. Because here's really what I want you to know. This is the crux of this episode, okay? The commitment versus know-how is really like a chicken or egg. It's like a chicken or egg kind of situation. What most people do, what many of you do, is that you are relying on the know-how to fuel the commitment. I want you to hear me. You're thinking, well, I will be committed when I know how. So you're putting the know-how in front of the commitment. And my invitation for you is to flip it. It's to flip it. You need the commitment first. You need to sustain the commitment because that's what will lead to you figuring out the know-how. Do you see that? When you are committed to something, that's what leads to you figuring it out. Many years ago, when I first started my company, I remember doing a video on this. I talked about how you have to decouple your desire for something with knowing how to make it happen. Because the moment you conflate the two, you lose instantly. You lose. You might as well put a cap on yourself. You might as well say, I'm never going to do anything bigger than what I'm doing right now. You have to keep your desire alive, even when you don't quite know how it's going to happen, right? This is the same thing. 10 years later, I'm still saying the same thing in different words, right? Know-how and commitment. You cannot allow the know-how to be the thing that's driving the bus. Otherwise, you learn nothing new. Otherwise, you don't grow and you cap your own progression in your career. Because it's the commitment that leads you to say, boy, this has been really tough, but that might mean I need some help. That might mean I need to invest some money. That might mean I need to invest some time, some resources. That might mean I need to try things differently. That might mean that I need to figure out how one does this in the face of a demanding life. Like, I want to do this, but in the last 4 weeks, I've not been able to find time for networking. I can see the time and the clock is ticking, right? So I need to get smarter about how I'm going to do this. Who can help me? Who can help me figure out how to do this when I have all these other demands on my plate? That's what commitment looks like. Commitment is not, I figured it out. I figured it out, and so now I can be excited about it. No, commitment is I am continuing to be excited about it. I'm continuing to hold on to that desire, and it's that commitment that's driving the bus. That's leading me to figure out, okay, who and what do I need to make this happen in this current season of my life? That really is the message, okay? So when you don't get that order right, what happens is you quietly give up on your promotion. And I say quietly because that, to me, that's actually a very important distinction. Have you noticed that when you give up on your goal, it is much quieter than the initial declaration? Like, you had a lot more bass in your voice when you said the goal that you wanted. You told everybody, right? You wrote it in your journal. You were much more vocal, maybe, or verbal about it, or you told people about it. More people knew about what you wanted. But when the day that you give up on it, it's usually quieter. It's usually quieter. It's usually subtle. It's usually nowhere near as loud as the initial goal declaration. And that's how you know. And I know that sometimes that is accompanied by feelings of shame or embarrassment. And I want to just put that to the side. You don't even have time for that. There's nothing to be ashamed of here. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. This is human nature. There's nothing wrong with you if you find yourself in this scenario. But my goal is to shine a light on it, to bring awareness to it so that you can notice when you're doing these things and choose something different. Choose something different, right? And that is the whole point. Because you saying that you wanted to be VP, you saying that you wanted to be a C-suite leader by such and such date, that came from somewhere. That came from somewhere. And when you go on the interview or you apply and it doesn't work out, and then you start to conclude, I don't know how to do this. It's not for me. I don't have what I need. I haven't done as much or whatever. That's usually not the case. You know how I know is that you likely, like I always say this, if I were scrolling on LinkedIn and I saw a job posting for astrophysicist, well, first of all, I wouldn't see a job posting for astrophysicists. It wouldn't find me. Okay. I have no desire, no interest in that. But even if somehow I took the wrong turn and I found a job posting for that, there'd be no charge there. I'd feel nothing. I have no interest in it. The desire wouldn't even pop into my head. I would scroll so fast, right? Because that's not a goal. It's not a desire, none of that. The fact that you are currently a director who is thinking, I'm ready for a VP, or a VP who's thinking, I'm ready for a C-suite, is at least one indicator. It's not the entire picture, but it's one indicator that there is some readiness there already for that. You are ready for it. Now, readiness is one thing, but there needs to be an alignment. There needs to be a calibration. You need the tools. All the things that need to happen. It's kind of like if you want to plant something, the ground might be fertile. The ground might be fertile and ready for this thing, but there's work to be done to actually, get it, ready to produce fruit. Somebody actually has to go plant some seeds and water it and all the things. You can't just say, well, great, the ground is fertile. I'm going to have a harvest in a few months. This is the same thing. It's the same thing. But when you allow your commitment to die because you hit a roadblock or two, rather than getting resourceful, rather than keeping your commitment alive and figuring out another way, you give up quietly, you diminish the goal, you deny that you ever had that goal to begin with. You are robbing yourself. You are robbing yourself. And here's how I know you'll know, because I see it all the time. You'll see somebody else who stuck with it. You'll see somebody else who kept going and they landed that role, and you will feel something inside of you. You will feel it, right? You'll feel it. And so here's my bottom line. I don't know what the future holds for you. I don't know why you haven't landed the role. I don't know. I can't purport to know your particular situation. But the very least that you can do is to leave it on the field, to give it your all, okay? To give yourself what you need to be successful, rather than doing just what you've always known, expecting a different outcome. That outcome doesn't come. And then you say, oh, well, look, see, I was never good enough to begin with. That is the most unkind thing that you can be doing to yourself as a leader. Okay. So if you are listening and you are at a place in your career where you know that you are ready for your next level, whether that happens to be senior director, VP, or the C-suite, and you would like to give yourself the tools, the know-how, okay, that matches your commitment, because I can't give you the commitment part. That comes from you. But if you have the commitment and you would like for that to be paired with the know-how, the implementation, the coaching, the support, the tools, the resources to make this happen, this is exactly what I do all day, every single day inside the Career Catapult Executive Coaching Program. So if that sounds like something that's of interest to you, then go ahead and visit cycprogram.com, cycprogram.com, and I cannot wait to see you in a conversation very soon. Thanks for listening. Share this with someone who you suspect. You suspect that she's quietly waning on her commitment, that she's quietly waning on her goals. This will be the episode that turns things around for her. Thanks again. We'll see you back here soon.